Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Transformation Leaders Podcast. My name is David. I'm joined today by my co-host, Shawn Ennis, who is an absolute genius in all things AI, and lean on him heavily for lots of consult and conversations that we have just about any and everything for the last couple of years. As a result of our last show, Shawn decided, there's a problem here. Let me just go ahead and solve it. And so he's got something really fantastic that's really, really cool. He's done the work that nobody seems to want to do, but is much needed and necessary. And it is a form of automation. So it is a perfect use case and example to show you exactly what you should and could be doing. And Shawn, I'm going to hand it over to you. Give everybody a demo. Walk us through what you've built here. This is really cool.
So one of the things that I have had a intimate experience with in the past is selling software. And when you sell software to people, they expect support, right? And human beings, I think I made this comment on our last video, they come in all different shapes and sizes and cultures and concepts, and everybody is a snowflake, and you need to understand and be responsive to that. Your customers are nice enough to give you money. You need to be able to understand and care about them. So it's incredibly expensive and hands-on, and frankly, in this day and age, it's hard to find high-quality people who want to deal with customers opening tickets without logs. 2 different engineers at a customer site opening identical tickets and duplicating effort. Being able to handle when somebody asks you a question that is already answered in the knowledge base. This is a good bit of the work. So when I was working with a customer this past couple months, they talked about this, and I and the Rapix team came together to create a high-level requirement document. We went through and built this on real data, on real requirements, and more importantly, we did a lot of testing on it. So let's talk about it. I always called this tired of tickets. Everybody is tired of tickets, right? And I find the best way to introduce AI into an organization is give it a real name, Frank, right? And Frank is the tier 1 support automation. And it says here telecom, but many other customers that we're talking to are interested in implementing this. It can plug into your pre-existing ticketing system. If you don't have one, Rapix has one. The concept, though, is how can we provide new value into a very old environment with AI without removing headcount, without driving people crazy on rip and replace projects? How can we be very surgical in answering that question we get from our executives? Now that AI is here, how can we leverage that for our customers or for our business? And that's why Frank exists.
Shawn, I want to add, and maybe I'm making an assumption. We haven't talked about this, but I'm going to venture to say that this solution, while you had shown that it's for telecom, and being that it is and should be considered as an agnostic solution, meaning not industry specific, that I'll give it a good example, and I'm not to call out any one particular company, but ServiceNow is very, very popular in this space in a general sense. And these types of AI services, they have them available as add-ons, but from what I've seen experience with customers, and one of the barriers of entry for them, it is cost prohibitive. And this solution I'm envisioning is a fraction of those prices.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, what we're seeing is that if you have 50 full-time engineers, if you're on tier 2 NOC, let's say, and you have 50 people, that's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, this is how much they're making. And your ticket stream from, again, the research that I have done, about 30% is actually real engineering work where, hey, we have a problem. No one's ever experienced it. These are hard problems that need real talent to solve. Now, 70% of the tickets that are coming in are routine triage work. Hey, I want you to be my human search engine, right? I'm going to go through and log a ticket, and I'm not going to give you any logs to troubleshoot, right? Password reset, all the stuff that, frankly, customers should ask for, but they do, and they take up cycles. So the idea is, what if Frank is not replacing humans? What Frank is going to do is, he is your first pass, right? He's going to do what a lot of ticketing solutions should do and try to do, but they're not using an AI solution, and they're certainly not using your knowledge base typically to do it, which is provide that first pass. And not hiding it to your customer, saying, hey, I'm Frank, the AI helper. I looked at your ticket and I noticed that you didn't include any logs. Logs are necessary for us to be able to provide you an accurate solution. Here's the type of logs that you need to get and how to get them from the knowledge base, right? And it just adds that on there. And when a human engineer looks at the ticket and says, yep, Frank told him what I need. And, it's just additive. Or, hey, just to let you know, there is a separate ticket on this that you already opened up, or someone on your team has already opened it up. Here's the reference. Here is the link. Can you double check that? Right? This is very common sense stuff, right? To me, this is the value that AI can bring to us, is if we use it with common sense, not replacing humans, augmenting them, so that humans who will be much happier in their job, not having to fight customers. I don't know if you know the support organization people, but get on a call with them. Look them in the eyes. You can see that look in somebody who has been doing support for 10 years. They need help, right? They need sanity. And this is a good tool for them to be able to add sanity to them. Because you do not want to pay people $150,000 a year to reply back and say, you need to add logs to this ticket. But the organizations that I typically talk to, that's exactly what's happening.
BPOs are having this problem at scale, big time, and we know that. And we've seen even customers from telecom all the way into energy. And believe it or not, one of the biggest ones that I've seen that has it, which is another one, is health and medical. Different scale, larger scale, but if you think telecom's challenging, healthcare is just absolutely insane, especially with all the checks and balances and governance and stuff that needs to go along with it. So this solution fits, but oh man, if you could plug that into that environment, major cost savings. And you talk about burnout, you'll make a dent and make serious progress.
Absolutely. So, here is that 70%, right? Where about half of your volume is going to come from stuff that your team has already solved. That, frankly, what your people should be doing is going in and copying and pasting from other tickets. And this is taking them 5 to 15 minutes, if that's the case. Or if they're not looking at the past and they are reinventing the wheel, they could be wasting a lot more time.
You said, frankly speaking, was that pun intended?
Again, I find having a name for the AI makes it a lot more personable. Incomplete reports, this is the missing logs, duplicate tickets, and also false alarms. Where somebody is saying, hey, this is something that I know that is patently untrue. Like, hey, I'm opening a ticket saying that that I do not have access to this version. Well, yeah, you do. Here's the link. You absolutely should have access to that. Can you double check this? It is just common sense first pass on tickets. So let me kind of show you how this works. It's pretty self-explanatory, but a ticket enters in, whether it be email, if it's coming in through a auto open like alert engine, maybe they go into the portal, and the first thing it tries to do is deflect. Again, from a CX perspective, me and David are old pros from Dover on CX, but deflection is always a good pass to make. It's, can I avoid any effort being expended while making the customer happy? And this is searching for the knowledge base on these things, identifying a confidence band of what is acceptable. Maybe it's 80%, maybe it's 65%, maybe it's 50%. And Frank will go through and reply and entice the customer to close the ticket. Dealing with misclassification. This happens all the time. Hey, this is a bug. Well, that is not a feature set of the product. So this is actually a feature request. And, I will recommend you to move it to feature request so that we can properly answer it. Otherwise, it may fall out of queue, right? Again, social engineering is what incident management is. If you have an AI agent constantly educating the customer the proper way of doing things and helping them along, eventually things will get better, right? Doing a checklist on the intake. Okay, they open a ticket on this problem. To be able to troubleshoot this problem, which, by the way, your ticket records absolutely already have a treasure trove of this information that you can mine for your knowledge base. And that's part of this. What is the checklist? And did they do it? Right? Checking for the false alarm. Hooking up to telemetry, they say, my system is down. Okay, write a script to automatically check, are they down? Right? And then check for sentiment analysis. If somebody's coming in there with a tone or threatening legal action, that needs to be pushed to the head of the line, and you need to page out not only a support tech, but the support tech management and saying, hey, we've got a customer here who is very upset, right? And again, this isn't about removing people. It's also about escalating and prioritizing the people you do have. That makes sense?
It does. And I think there's another piece here to your last point about customers that are irate. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, well, maybe more often these days than other days, because the polarization of the world that we live in, sometimes it makes sense to drop customers because they're just problem children. And so this gives you potentially, if you bake it in, a way of identifying those problem customers. It could be that 20% of your customers are responsible for 80% of the load. And, if they're the lowest paying customers, man, that math just really, really solves itself. So I think as you implement these types of systems, look for those problem children, so to speak, customers, and have the AI do an analysis and an evaluation on it. I don't know if it's baked into the platform, but I'm pretty sure it's something that could easily either be customized and or queried with it, because it's all the data lives in the database. But just another cost-cutting mechanism to and alert system as well.
So let's talk about the most important thing, money. So Rapix is offering, for the first version of Frank, a $50K software investment per year. And this is the knowledge base plus the automation. It'll plug into any kind of ticketing system. This is the kind of value you can get, right, for being able to defer how many tier 1 agent level work that they don't want to do. I had a conversation, I think it was Monday, with a gentleman in Canada who said, Shawn, they're asking us to cut how many tier 1 people we have, transfer them to tier 2, take tier 2 people and lend them out to our engineering staff to build our network. They said AI should be able to help you. And we can't keep up with the tickets we have now, let alone just getting headcount and saying AI should help you. It isn't about AI should help you. It's about what tools we can give to the people. Giving somebody, co-pilot and saying you should be able to handle this better is completely different than what we're talking about here. So I just want to make sure people understand that there is tons of opportunity to be able to solve the problem of how do we do more with less with AI. But it isn't go use Copilot, right? It is you need a business solution. And that's typically where you're going to bring in an expert, right? So to finish it up, and again,
well, actually, I want to add something, if you don't mind, to your credit and to that pricing that you had just mentioned. I had earlier mentioned that your solution probably, and I said ignorantly, but now that I saw the price slide, you're about almost a quarter of the price of a mid-market solution in ServiceNow comparatively. So yeah, I mean, if you're in need of this type of solution and you're using anything like those type of base systems, I would definitely take advantage, because at $50,000, that's a steal.
Yes, and the intention is to use that to show people that you can be laser focused and surgical with AI. I am completely frustrated with our peers in the industry who are saying, let's do the biggest possible AI project that we could find. The use case that's going to save us so much if we spend a whole bunch of time and effort.
Yep.
Why don't we go in and give somebody a tool like Frank that could cut your deflection, can cut your tickets by 40%, can auto close 15% of your tickets. This isn't nirvana, but it is on the road to nirvana. And I'm not saying that this is a solution for everybody. I'm not even saying that if you have this problem, you should use Rapix. The point that I want to make here is the best use cases aren't the biggest use cases. They are the ones that are the biggest bang for your buck. And that's why I wanted to bring Frank up this week, is to talk about that and understand that There are plenty of business problems that you could solve with AI in a surgical manner like Frank. It just takes the eye of an expert to find them, scope them, test them, and justify them so that you can consume AI ethically, comprehensively, and get business value without going through and laying off 30% of your people. So, David, what are your thoughts about Frank?
Well, I have seen you talk about it, and we have talked about it a little bit backstage as well. And so it is definitely everything that's needed. Not many people are using it. They talk about using it, and I see those from my experience when I've been talking to customers about it. It's almost like a wait and see type of thing, or they want to put it into pilot, but they never seem to get it into production, I think is the problem. So with a solution like this, it should be plug and play. And comparatively, I'm not going to call out pricing for each of everyone, but I'm telling you, it's about 25% less than anything else that's out there on the mid-market range. If you're an SMB, maybe 50,000 is a little high for you, but if you're mid to enterprise, yeah. And if you're a telecom, obviously, which is the niche focus for this, but I would highly encourage anybody, irregardless of what platform they're using, because this is all just needs to be pointed to data, and it's AI doing the evaluation. So I'm assuming it's plug and play. The question that I have for you that I think the audience might ask, is that all inclusive for that price? Is that the setup and integration? Is that part of the package, or is that extra, or how does that look? Because
it is all in all. So basically, it is we'll have a call to discuss, okay, where's all your knowledge base? We'll load that in. We'll go through, integrate into your ticketing system as a user, the Frank user, right? And we'll show you how it works. And if there are any bugs or any issues, we support you. This is really straightforward when it comes down to things. I had one customer said, Shawn, I wouldn't want Frank to be able to post comments that go back to the customer. I want to do a phase where it is recommending do these posts. Fine. Everybody's on their own road. Now, when it comes down to people have said, Shawn, I have like 3 ticketing systems. I've got this, I've got that, I've got all these other kind of things. Okay, let's talk more about a consultative play here. The goal of this is to show you how this technology can make it work. Frank is only one of, I think, 10 different agents that RapX sells in this area. And the goal is to kind of show you how this is just one use case that can be solved in your environment in a very profitable way. And the goal is for, as I tell people, it's like Pokemon, collect them all. The more these different use cases can be employed in your environment, the more powerful your people will be. And that's the overall goal here.
I got a statement to add, and then one more question. So the statement is, from my perspective, from my experience, your all-encompassing price is equivalent to those other mid-market solutions that I had mentioned earlier. Just the setup fees alone range from $50,000 to $72,000 on average.
Right.
And you got a all-in-one solution with the licensing and the platform, all inclusive for $50K. So again, if you're an SMB running 25 people using, I don't know, Zoho ticketing or whatever you got there, then maybe that might be a stretch for you. Maybe not. Depends on your volume and your revenue. But mid-market to enterprise, you guys need to be jumping on this. And so with that being said, my question is, how can they get more information about this, or any case studies or whatever? You have anything put together?
Yes. So feel free to head to cal.com/Shawn-Ennis and set up a time. I'd love to talk to you about it. There's plenty of other solutions. If this isn't really your thing, but you have another problem that you want to solve, reach out. Me and David know a lot of people who are solving a lot of business problems. So we always want to work with somebody. I had a conversation this morning about a wonderful gentleman who's tackling the restaurant business with technology support solutions and data analytics. There's lots of people out there who are solving business problems, large and small.
Excellent. So I think we've got a QR code here for folks, and they can scan that. I believe you have a white paper, and that'll give them a lot more information, kind of summarize a little bit what we've talked about here and expand upon that. If I'm not mistaken, I scanned it. I didn't go through the whole thing, but there was essentially a use case in there, I think, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is the white paper that explains how all of this works in detail, where all the research is, so that people can use this to educate their budget owners, right? That's the value that this provides, so that they can have these conversations and say, look, here's how we can robustly answer the question from our upper management and investors of how we are generating value with AI, and in a way that isn't dropped on a bomb on our employees at 2 a.m.
Excellent. All right. Well, anything else that you want folks to know, either about RapX or about the code?
No. Again, this is just one of the numerous things, whether it be what David has done, what I have done, what partners that I am working with outside, or people who have been consumers of our content on this channel, subscribers who say, hey, I am solving this problem. I know we have 2 or 3 different people who have reached out to us to be on this podcast. So, my hope is that you all reach out with your ideas or problems, and we can help you solve them.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to pop up our tiny QR code in the top left corner again. So if you guys are interested, you can go to the transformationleaderspodcast.com. Here's the actual URL if you just want to see it outright and type it. You can go either one of them. If you want to be on the show, we're going to have, I believe, a guest next week or maybe the week after. But they'll be on the show here to talk about some transformation leadership points of views. And as a result of that, if you want to join the show, you have something you want to talk about, either AI, computer, transfer, as long as it has to do or anything to do with business and, kind of a future state, transforming the business from where you are now, anything about leadership. Shawn and I talk a lot about AI because, well, that's just pretty much where everything's at on the technological solutions along with automation. So we focus pretty heavily in on that. But in any event, you can catch all of those shows out on the transformationleaderspodcast.com. Connect to Shawn and I. Connect to us on LinkedIn. Fill out the form. It goes to both Shawn and I. That's how you get on the show. And you can also check out and get to any of our previous episodes. I think we're now up to almost 80-ish, around there, just at 80. But in any event, you can catch that whole entire library online as well. That's all the time that we have for you. We'll see you here every Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. That's all the time we have for you today. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.